when I shift into maximum overdrive. Hi-ya!
Yeah, tonight.
Okay, let's go.
200-mile-per-hour tape.
Yeah, legitimate.
Yeah, legitimate 200-mile-per-hour
Gorilla
tape.
tape.
Yeah.
Straight up.
If you
it's all over the car.
If you didn't have that, you could potentially lose the hood, huh?
There's a video that Time Attack News put up of my car driving down Road Atlanta on the back straight, and the hood's just doing this. And it just is literally like 4 inches off. Yeah.
It literally is talking.
Yeah.
Warm it up.
Yeah, it was like, give us some tape. Feed me tape.
All competitors in the drifting tonight. If you have picked up the wireless transponder.
Life update with Ferris Katumi. So last time you were on our channel, my favorite comments were the ones where they're saying this man is playing Gran Turismo in real life. You know, going to races, winning things like turbos, and actually using the things that you won to put back onto the car to win more races.
Yeah.
To win more time attacks. How's it been since then?
Man, you know, it wasn't until I read those comments that I was like, you know what, he's kind of right. Like, I am kind of playing the game. I'm modding it, you know. But no, it's been great, man. I mean, since then, it's the car's just always improving. And, you know, we've just been traveling, trying to set records, trying to get the car out there and just do cool stuff.
So 2020, it was a weird year for everybody. Since then, how many lap records have you broken, and what have you accomplished since we last had you on this channel?
Yeah, so we're up to 28 track records, but that includes like street tire records from before that I had, like production car records, overall time attack records. So it was like a combination of stuff. But yeah, this thing's somehow managed to rack up 28 records.
The last time we had a chance to shoot you, you actually were competing in Global Time Attack at Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much the configuration it is sitting here now, right?
Yeah. So straight from Road Atlanta, we went to Gingerman. We didn't change anything between those two events. We actually ran the same tires at Gingerman, and we were just running the same tires until right now from Gingerman and Road Atlanta on the car. But yeah, same exact car, nothing's changed since then.
And then that's like a good, I guess it was a good shakedown, those two events for this event?
Oh yeah, I mean, because Road Atlanta, the straight, I hit 187. And we sat on the rev limiter for a little bit, but 187 and then Gingerman's such a small track, it helped a lot with some of the tight stuff here. So I felt like those two tracks back to back really kind of helped me get the car ready. Plus Gingerman's surface kind of has lost its grip over the time, or over these years, and then it's been like really bumpy. So it gave me a good like smooth track, Road Atlanta, that has a lot of grip, and then a low surface grip with a lot of bumps to kind of like tune the car in to come to the unknown, right? I had no idea what kind of grip we're gonna have here, how smooth the track is, so having those two back to back, I think really helped out.
Was your goal always to come to World Time Attack? Was this like just the thing that you're trying to get?
So like when I first started doing time attack, the very first thing I started doing was researching the time attack builds because my car wasn't a time attack car at the time. And I stumbled across that thing, which is the RP968. And it looked a little bit different then than it looks now. But like I saw that thing and I looked into World Time Attack and I was like, man, it'd be so cool if one day I make my way there, which never thought that'd be possible. And man, here we are.
Here you are. And of course, thanks to a lot of your sponsors, Momo jumped on board big time just in this past year. How has it been working with them?
Momo's been great. We've been talking about some revamping of products and stuff, and they got me hooked up on new safety gear. They got me a badass suit. I was like, always dreamt about having like my own like livery, custom fitted suit. And Drew's like, we got you, man. Don't worry about it.
So now you actually match your car.
Dude, I matched the car, and I was like, I want Kevlar, you know, and they somehow managed to make Kevlar on the suit. So I was like super unique to like what I got going on. And yeah, it was just like a cool feeling to like put on a suit that like fits you so well. Cause like you buy the ones like that everybody gets and they're like kind of loose and they fit weird and they're tight in some areas, and this thing just fits so good, man.
So let's talk about the build itself. So what have you changed since we last saw it in 2020?
Man, so since 2020, we are still on the same turbos, actually. Haven't changed the turbos. Still G35 900s and the exact same supercores since when we first talked. Garrett has provided me with spares, but I never needed them. So, I mean, I have them with me just in case, but that's never changed. I actually remade the hot side. So Holley sent me their Hooker Black Heart manifolds. And so before they were like the stock factory cast manifolds. So they sent me a set of those, and then I just remade the hot side from there to this V-band of the turbo. And that's it, you know, I mean, we're still using these same pipes from then. Garrett gave me their new GVW 45 wastegates. And I mean, obviously the slicks, we're on slicks now. I think in that video we're on Yokohama street tires. Obviously the carbon Kevlar, that's new, and that saves so much weight. We went through a phase where we went and we had a carbon fiber body, and then we got this carbon Kevlar body, and this carbon Kevlar body shaved 80 pounds off of the carbon fiber body.
And this was never meant for a time attack car.
No, this is the straight drift body.
This is like from HGK.
This is HGK's drift body, and I had never met HGK, right? I got this from Drift HQ, and I was at Road Atlanta, and the HGK guys came around, and they're like, oh, sweet car, man, like talking to me. I don't know who I've never seen their face. And then I looked over and their shirt says HGK, and I looked at the other guy, he's like, we're HGK. I'm like, you got, like, it was great.
And, like, I remember you were telling me, basically, you had to cut this, because this was never meant to have a wing either. So this was meant to be just a lightweight drift body. And so you actually had to make some modifications yourself to make it work.
Yeah, so we cut it up, and I felt so bad because the quality of it's so great, and I mean the stuff's so light, and it's kind of a nightmare to work with. So, and then like the front bumper, the fenders, I cut in half, and I chopped the front bumper all up, and I felt bad doing it, but I mean it kind of just had to happen.
What about this setup? Did this setup change at all?
This was, so underneath here is the rear radiator setup. I switched. Before I had dual front intercoolers, then I switched to a single, or it was two Garrett cores that I welded together, so just a single center mount intercooler setup. So then I put the radiator in the back of the car. So like this is very similar to like a drift setup as far as the layout of the car, but it actually cools really well, and I made this deal here, and you can just see like the ducting that this flows into the radiator. And
this is all that it needs, this opening?
That's all that it gets, yeah. And I was kind of skeptical of like, would it be enough?
How is that possible that that's enough though?
Well, we have a trophy truck radiator in the car. It's a Ron Davis 36-inch by 20-something radiator. So we have a giant radiator in this thing.
So then, the air goes into here, and then, wait a minute. What's separating this from you?
So the back of this is just like fully shrouded. So it just fully shrouds the radiator.
Got
and that protects me from anything. Everything's mounted, all the radiator hoses and stuff are under the car. and go to the front. And we have an electric water pump in the center now.
So is this more efficient than what it was before when it had a front radiator setup?
Yeah, I mean, because of how big this radiator is, and then having that electric water pump in the middle to help push the flow, it stayed cooler than ever. Like earlier today, I was out there for like 5 laps in a row, and we saw like 180 degrees in water temp. So it works out really well when you're trying to learn a track for the first time.
Because before, were you only able to get like a certain amount of hot laps before it would just get too hot?
Yeah, I struggled for a very long time with keeping the car cool. And I kind of just went on a whim, and a lot of people were telling me like, this won't work. You know, I talked to a lot of the drift guys that have Corvettes that have rear radiators, and like, no, it doesn't work. We run it because we don't want to damage the thing, and yeah, for me it works because I guess that scoop is enough, and I have 2 giant brushless fans on the back. It's 16-inch fans. It's like something like 6,000 CFM pulling it from here.
Well, where does the air go?
It just goes right underneath to the diffuser, pretty much.
Oh, it goes over the diffuser.
Yeah, so it just gets blown right out the bottom of the car.
It makes me wonder if it's actually pulling the air out.
And it could be too. Yeah, getting air in force, and then the diffuser could be helping to pull it out.
Okay, so then what about like this tubbing and stuff? Was this?
Yeah, so part of my like weight loss program was getting rid of the rear tub on the Corvette. It weighs 50 pounds. And, I was like trying to find weight to shave in the car, and I ripped that thing off and replaced it with this aluminum, and I ended up saving 42 pounds just by ripping that out and then replacing it with aluminum.
Well, was that in vain? Because you had to actually add weight to come here.
Yeah. So all the weight that I took out in this winter, I had to add it all back to the car to run this tire. I'm running a 31/71/18 Michelin. And to run a 71 tall tire, they're like, you have to weigh 29.78 pounds. And so I was like, great. Everything I just did over the winter has to come back into the car. So we have ballast sitting right here.
But I don't really get why, because I thought this was supposed to be unlimited. And whatever you can do to make the fastest car possible.
It's just, they did it by tire. Yeah, I mean, if I were to run a 68, I could leave the weight whatever I wanted, but because I wanted that extra 2 inches of tire, and it was really just height, it wasn't width, they said you had to weigh this amount.
Overall, you think it's probably more advantageous to run a bigger tire?
I'm so used to this setup, it just didn't make any sense, and like, since my car is gear limited, I have a 1-to-1/6 gear, it's the same sequential transmission from when we first did our thing back then. I'm limited mile per hour, so I can only do 187, 190 mile an hour. And so if I change the rear tire size to being smaller, then I actually now only can do like 160, where I only was on 800 pounds or 800 horsepower for this session, and I'm already hitting 175. So it's like.
So you potentially could top out speed-wise on this track?
Yeah, 100%. Tomorrow and Sunday or Saturday, when I turn it up, we're for sure going to be doing 190 down this straight.
When you say turn up, how much are you turning up from 800 horsepower?
So in the morning, I'll probably run it at 1,000, and that'll for sure get me close, probably 185. And then if I'm feeling comfortable, hopefully by the end of the weekend, I put all 1,300 down. So
then how different is the engine compared to what it was back then? Because you weren't making 1,300 horsepower back then.
No, yeah. So when we first talked, we had a very different engine. It was still a stock block, and now we have a LSR block built by LME. It has CID heads, Cali's Magnum crank rods, and diamond pistons. And so these guys build this exact setup for drag racers to make 2,000 horsepower. And we don't run it there, but it's good to know that the long block is capable of making 2,000.
Yeah, so you're not even pushing it really.
No, this thing's like feed me more.
Yeah.
It doesn't care. So it's pretty cool. One day hopefully if we like put a little bit larger turbo on the car, we can turn it up the boost a little bit more. But as of right now, yeah, the bottom end is super happy.
And then, so how many liters is this setup?
So it's still a 427. We've gone through a couple of them now. So like we've been back and forth between like a 7.2, 7.0. So, but this one now is back to a 427. So
you've had just a couple sessions today, and you're pretty much done for the day today.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to drive this on this track?
So I did a lot of sim time on this track, and none of the cars on the sim really felt like it could do well in turn one, and it always had an issue somewhere. When I drive it in person, the turns drive a lot different. They're even longer than what I expected, and you're in the turn for a while, which equates to a lot of time because you're like slower. Also, like some of the straights into like the final couple of turns are a little bit shorter and just drives different. But it's a really fun track, man. Turn 1 isn't really as intimidating as I thought, and like approaching a turn at 175 and not getting on the brakes is like so counterintuitive as a driver. You always are like, oh, you know, let's slow it down. But you know, I've kind of been working up a little bit more and more to just kind of hold it a little bit longer. And this past couple sessions, I just kind of lifted and just right at the 100 mark, and then kind of started to ease back into it.
So you haven't gone flat out through turn 1 yet?
Man, you know, that monster of a car can do it. This thing is nothing really compared to what that is. And you know, Tim Slade came over here, who's driving like the older Hammerhead, or it's a new, you know, Hammerhead. Even he said, he's like, I won't go flat out in my car. So that's actually good information for me. If he's telling me he's not going to do it, you know, maybe there's no reason for me to do it, and just kind of play it safe. And
maybe you can make it up somewhere else.
Hopefully, you know, I mean, the car did really well that time. I caught some traffic, like the last 2 turns. I kind of was behind someone, and we turned to 28. And so I think knowing that, you know, there's probably a couple seconds there, a couple seconds in some boost. As long as I drive good and the track's good, I mean, we could see a low 20.
Low 20?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, that would be great. I think if I came with a goal of like doing a 25, so, I mean, if I can go sub 25, that'd be amazing, especially my first time here. You never know what's going to happen.
Because in your eyes, there's so much more development left in this car, but also potentially in the future, I don't know if you've talked about maybe building another car.
Yeah, I mean, the development in the car alone, like this car it was so funny, like we were sharing a shop the other day, and my car was on the lift and their car was on the lift, and the differences between the car are so drastic. Like this is child's play compared to what's going on over there. And one of the guys were just staring at the underbody of the car, and he's like, hey, you don't really have anything going on here, yeah? And I'm like, no, man, it's really just a Corvette, you know? But the development in this thing could be so much faster than what it is. And then, yeah, you know, I have a second car I'm building right now, and hopefully I learned a lot building this, so I'll transfer that over to the new car, and yeah, hopefully we can make a faster car than what we have right now.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good life update. Maybe, I think part 3 is going to be with your new car.
Oh man, the new car is going to be cool. It won't be Kevlar right away. It'll have the old carbon fiber body, but there's a lot of cool stuff that, you know, I've been talking to different people about, and hopefully we can just make a slightly faster car.
Yeah. Hopefully we can convince some of these guys to ship their cars over to the US to compete.
Yeah. I mean, if that thing came to the US, man, all my records, first of all, would disappear. But it'd be so cool to see, you know, that's like the progression of Time Attack, right? They're at the top of Time Attack, and that's what the pinnacle is right now, is that car. So for him to come and maybe just set a benchmark would be really cool for all of us to chase. And it's just, you know, records are meant to be broken, so.
I think that's cool. And it's so unassuming too, for it to be a 968.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. RP 968.
Yeah, it's just so, what an interesting chassis to start with.
Yeah, no, it's so cool, man. And the wing and the aero that's going on in that, and they have a great team, and they're all really nice people. Like, I had no idea what to expect coming to Australia as, like, you know, Team USA, and I'm like, who do I help? Like, I need a garage to work in, and man, it was just, you know, it was at M-Tron, and they were all there, and they were thrashing on their car, but they were nice enough to, like, move their car off the dyno, get me on the dyno. It's just really good vibes here, man. Like, Australia is super cool.
Yeah, no, that's super cool to be here. I've always wanted to come here for World Time Attack, so I'm glad I came here for that. But good luck, and we'll be following you all weekend.
Sweet, thanks, man.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to support us directly, go to LarryChenPrints.com. I print and sign every single one of these. This is the perfect gift, or it's the perfect piece of art for your wall.